Hello everyone, this is Shilpa B, Department of ISC, Kendra Engineering College. I'm going to teach you the concepts of file structures. Let us go for the concept of organizing tracks by block. In the previous session, we have already seen what is sector and how organization of sectors takes place, what is fragmentation, all those things. Now today let us go for organizing tracks by blocks, user defined blocks. So what exactly a user defined block is? If you go for sector, then its size is fixed, okay, but if you go for blocks, its size can vary. It depends on you who exactly designs it. So it is user defined, okay. So depending on the requirement of file designer and the capabilities of OS, you can vary the size of block. Blocks are referred to as physical records, which is the smallest unit of data that the OS supports on a particular drive. Okay, so let us see the organization of block, how exactly it is different from sector organization. Now if this is your sector organization and this is your block organization. In sector organization, say I have 5 different records. My first record is record contains all ones, okay. So this is my first record. Till this I have my first record, which is spread across 3 different sectors. As we have seen in the previous session, the concept of fragmentation, where we are going to fit everything together in different sectors. Now my record 1 is spread across 3 different sectors. Next I am continuing my record 2. It comes till this. I have 2's in my record 2. So my record 2 is this, which is spread across sector 3 and sector 4. My record 3 is this, which is spread only in sector 4. My record 4 is this, which is spread across sector 4 and sector 5. And then I have my record 5. Now while reading this, while accessing the data from this type of sector organization, now if I want to read record 1, so this is my record 1, so I need to go to sector 1, I need to go to sector 2, I need to go to sector 3 to read my record 1. So 3 seeks are there to read the record 1. Now instead of this, what I am going to do is I will define a block, okay. So block is nothing but it is variable in nature. Now in one single block I am going to write all my data of record 1. This is one block, this is the next block, this is the next block, fifth block. Now if you see, the size of the block is not fixed. It depends on the data or record whatever you have. So that is user defined. Now size of block 1 is very big if you compare to block 3, right? So that depends on the user, that depends on the data whatever you have. Now what is the benefit of block organization? If you consider sector organization, then you had 3 seeks in order to read record 1, isn't it? But if you consider block organization, in one seek I can get all my data which is there in record 1. So in one seek I can read record 1. But in the same sector organization, we have 3 seeks in order to read record 1. So that is the benefit of block organization. You can reduce the number of seeks if you go for block organization. That is what we have here, and we have a term called as blocking factor. It is nothing but number of records that are to be stored in each block in a file. That is called as blocking factor. It can vary. It is depending on your application, whatever you are using. So the advantage is no space would be lost to internal fragmentation and no need to load two blocks to retrieve one record. So as I told here, there is no space will be wasted. We are continuously storing it. No space is lost. Internal fragmentation is not there. And also number of seeks will be reduced. No need of reading two or three different sectors in order to read one record, right? So number of seeks are less, and number of seeks are less, and no space will be lost. That is the advantage of block organization. Now how exactly we are writing the block? We have three different things in one single block. One is count subblock, key subblock, and data subblock. So count subblock is nothing but it contains the number of bytes in the accompanying data block. So count subblock, it contains how many number of bytes are there in the data subblock. That is count subblock. What is key subblock? It contains the key for last record in the data subblock. It acts as a pointer. Okay. So if I if you see this key subblock, it contains the previous address. The next key subblock, it will contain its address. So it will be a chain. It will use to form a chain or linked list. Okay. Using this key subblock, program can ask its disk drive to search among all the blocks on a track for a block with desired key. So it will be used as an address. Okay. Now what exactly is non-data overhead? Now if you consider the block, you will be having count subblock and key subblock and data subblock. Data subblock is nothing but the block which will carry your data. Okay, and these two are the blocks which one carries the address and one carries the count of data. Okay, so these two are extra, which is not related to our data. Our data is stored in data subblock. Our record is stored in data subblock. These two are extra. We can call that as non-data. Okay, so that will that will consume some of your memory, right? Wastage, we can also call it as wastage of space. And this non-data, it will come because of pre-formatting. Pre-formatting in the sense, if I tell the same example here, data subblock is having some particular amount of data, and because of this I need to write what is count subblock, where exactly the address is. So key subblock also I need to include before writing the data subblock. So pre-formatting, before writing the data, we are including some more non-datas into our memory. So that is called as non-data overhead. Now this pre-formatting, it can be because of the sector address or track address or the condition, whether the sector is usable or defective, that also there. So all these will be acting as non-data. Now placing gaps and synchronization mark, it is also a non-data. So if you have a set of records, you have a set of records with you, record 1, this is record 1 and record 2. Now what I am going to do is I will put a small gap over here in order to differentiate record 1 and record 2. So this is also space consuming, right? Or I will put some mark over here. This is the end of record 1. So this is also space consuming. So these are not related to our data, right? In our data we don't have hash. In our data we don't have space. All these are called as non-data. Now let us go for an example. Suppose we have block addressable disk drive with the 20,000 bytes per track, and the amount of space taken up by subblock and interblock gaps, that is non-data, which are equivalent to 300 bytes per block. We want to store a file which contains 100 bytes records on the disk. How many records can be stored per track if the blocking factor is 10? That is what we want to find out. How many records can be stored per track? Okay. So let us see the solution for this. We have 100 bytes per block. They have given it in the question. We have 100 bytes per block. Now blocking factor is nothing but 10. They have included blocking factor, number of blocks per track, that is blocking factor is 10. Now data in each block, we can calculate it by multiplying this 100 bytes records with the blocking factor 10. We will get it as 1000 bytes. Data in each block is nothing but 1000 bytes. Now, space taken up by subblock and interblock gap, it is nothing but 300. We know that 300 bytes per block is nothing but the subblock and interblock gap. They have already given it 300 bytes per block. So total data, how can we calculate it? We have in data block we have 1000 bytes, and in non-data you have 300 bytes. So add it, you will get 1300 bytes as the total data. So you will be having in a block you will be having data subblock, count subblock and key subblock. So these two is of 300 bytes. Okay, and this we have got it as 1000 bytes. So adding those two, we will get the total data. So total data is nothing but 1300 bytes. So the number of blocks that can be stored in 20,000 byte track is nothing but you are going to divide 20,000 divided by 1300. You are going to get the number of blocks, because we already know that there is 20,000 bytes per track, and we have got the total number of data. So if you divide that by this, and then you will get the 15 number of blocks. So the number of records that can be stored per track, if the blocking factor is 10, it is nothing but 15 number of blocks you got. So 15 into blocking factor is 10. So 15 into 10, you will get 150 records per track. So number of records that stored per track is nothing but 150 if the data if the blocking factor is 10. So this is about this particular session. Let us meet in the next session. Thank you.